Hi everyone, it's Faye here from FayeJohnson.com, and it's the most amazing sunny day here in Scotland, which, doesn't really happen that often. So I knew that as soon as I woke up, it was really going to be a day for harvesting and making medicine. So, because when you've got these really warm sunny days, it's just the perfect, not only the perfect time to be outside, but also to be connecting with plants. And really, I want to make a few infused oils, so I kind of want the plant material to be dry, and it helps when you're harvesting. It's a change from the Scottish kind of misty dampness which happens, and obviously damp is not your friend if you want to dry stuff or if you want to make essential oil, infused oils. So I've already been up harvesting this morning on my walk with my dog. For the last few weeks, I've been spotting all the mugwort that is growing in the hedgerows around, which is just such a dream. I've got some of my own mugwort plants here in the garden, but it's so great that actually I feel like, wow, I don't actually have to harvest those because there's so much mugwort growing in the hedgerows around here. So I can sort of sit and contemplate and be with my plants here, and it feels like I can harvest from the plants which are around me. And I don't know if this happens for you, but when I go out to harvest with a plant in mind or in my heart, once you start to see one out of the corner of your eye, it's almost like the others reveal them to you, kind of like the domino effect. So that was a really beautiful experience for me this morning. So this is some of the beautiful mugwort that I have harvested, and I made sure not to take too much because I still am waiting for a bit of guidance about what I'm going to be making with this. And I feel like I've made that mistake in the past where I've just been so excited to harvest a plant. And this particularly happens if you are if you're kind of a beginner and you just like, oh wow, it's a sunny day, I know I'm going to go out and I want to harvest some comfrey, I'm going to make an infused oil, or I'm going to harvest calendula. And sometimes we can kind of over harvest. We can just take much more than we really need. So just bear that in mind if that's you, because that just, it doesn't feel good to over harvest, and we should never take more than we really need. And always when you're out with wild plants, just make sure you're not harvesting from the only plant in the area. And I'm on the lookout for elderflowers today. We recently moved here, so I haven't really got my usual spot where I harvest from. So I have one tree here in the garden, and I'm like, wow, really? Is that the only elderflower tree I have? So I'm kind of asking for them to reveal themselves to me. So anyway, what I do for sort of to make the process sacred, to really invite in the spirit of the plant. When we make herbal preparations, we're using our herbal knowledge. We're using what we know about those physical qualities of the plant and how they affect our human physiology. So we want to make an infused calendula oil because we know that the calendula flower has properties that are healing for our skin and so forth. But what we also want to do is to connect with the spirit of the plant. We want to make that connection way before we've even thought about making any medicines with the plant, because then we are already forming a relationship with that plant. So by the time we get to that point where we want to harvest and we want to make some medicine, we're already in a relationship. We've already got this friendship happening. And so the medicine will be a lot more sweeter, we'll be a lot more attached to it, and it's a lot more potent. So one of the ways in which I do this is I always make sure I introduce myself to a plant. I usually am harvesting from plants that I know, and I've already kind of made sure I've met them over the course of that growing year, because if you've got plants that you regularly harvest or that you love to make medicines from, you'll be spotting them in your vicinity, either in your garden or in the local hedgerows and places to go and forage. So you'll already be clocking them. You'll be checking in, saying hi, how are you, making yourself known to these plants. And then on a day like today, when it is the day that I want to harvest, so I love to make an offering to a plant before I take from it. So this is a form of exchange. I talk about it in my book, Plants That Speak, Souls That Sing, and I'm sure it's a concept that you are familiar with. So I like to offer flowers or seeds. I sometimes will offer the plant Reiki as well, because if you're a healer or an energy practitioner, I think that giving healing and sending love and your appreciation is really one of our most magical gifts that we can give when we're working with plants. So tuning into the plant and saying hi. And I like to harvest when I'm feeling good, when I'm feeling like the flow of my day is going well. So it was great this morning because all I did is kind of wake up and I was so full of joy that we have so much sunshine here today, which is quite unusual, you know, for Scotland. So I was just full of radiating joy, feeling in the flow, going, yeah, I need to get out there and do some harvesting. So that's the kind of flow. If your day is, you know, when you have those days where just one thing after another seems to be going wrong, or it seems to be preventing you from really kind of, you know, doing what you want to do, you know, I want to go and harvest, I want to go and make medicines. Well, I would kind of tune into that and say, you know what, maybe today isn't the best day for me to just go and do this. Maybe life's telling me, you know what, choose a day when it's just more in the flow for you. So today felt really good, and I made kind of straight for a stand of mugwort that I had my eye on and been kind of saying hello to on my daily dog walks. But actually, when I got to this stand, I noticed that it was a bit diseased, and I thought, you know what, that's not really the kind of medicine I want to be making. So I actually made an offering to the plant anyway, because it may be that the plant needs some healing. So I thought, okay, well, I can leave that and I can check in later. So then I'm walking and I'm thinking, oh no, but that was kind of my plan. That was, you know, I've got to keep walking because I've got to find some more mugwort. And then actually in the course of my half-an-hour walk, so many more different stands of mugwort were like, it was like they were all reaching out like, hey, you know, come and harvest me. And so for each of the plants, I said hello, tuning in. I'm offering, I have rose petals. That's what I had with me today because they are just, they're just one of my allies, so in abundance here, and they're so beautiful. And it's just, it's like, for me, it's a physical representation of heart and love. So I'm offering the mugwort, these rose petals, you know, in advance, like a prepayment, saying, you know, hey, you're amazing. This is me, this is my offering. How about we make some medicine together? And what I love to do with plants is I love to tell the plant, you know, the journey that I'd like to take with it. So I'm telling mugwort about myself, about where I live, about what I'd like to do and what I'd like to create with this plant. So in this case of mugwort, I knew I wanted to harvest some. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, is it going to be an infused oil? Am I going to make some herbal bundles for burning? What else am I going to do with this mugwort? And so while I'm speaking to the mugwort, while I'm harvesting and tuning in, if it's okay to take some plant material, and feeling for what it's okay to take. Is it okay to take some leaves? Is it okay to take a whole stalk? Just feeling for that. But I'm doing this fairly quickly because I've got my dog with me. I wasn't able to have this proper deep connection like I do sometimes, or like when I'm making a flower essence, for example, you know, that's a full-on, you know, sit down, get comfortable, we're tuning into this plant and we're spending some time here. Hello. And so that's really what I love to do, is take the plant on a journey, tell the plant, whisper to the plant, sing to the plant, tell the plant the journey that you wish to take with it. And even sometimes we are making medicine for others, aren't we? We might make a salve. We might think, oh, you know what? Oh, you know, my partner has really rough skin. I want to make a salve that's going to soften their skin so that they have, you know, softer hands, or so forth. Or it might be for your pet or another family member. And so I love to tell the plant the story of the person who might be receiving the preparation that I want to make. And if it's for something for sale, you might want to tell the plant, you know, well, I want to make, you know, how about we make this medicine together, because I've got some clients who could really benefit from your medicine, who really need, you know, heart-opening medicine, or they really need to be more connected with their sense of self, etc. And so that's what I like to do while I'm harvesting, and taking the plant on that journey that you will, well, you know, telling the plant about the journey that you'd like to take with it, and tuning in like that, and as you harvest. So that was really my experience this morning with mugwort. I've also had an experience, I've also been harvesting daisies today, and daisies are in absolute abundance in the garden behind me. And so the daisies that I've picked, I actually picked these yesterday. They are now in here, which is olive oil. Because I am going to be using them for an infused oil to help with bruising and so forth. Some people like to call the daisy the British arnica, so that's what I'll be using it for. And I usually work with calendula, but this year I don't seem to have many growing, so I'm like, well, okay, that plant doesn't want to connect with me this year, so the daisy sure does. So I've got some daisy here, and I've also been making comfrey infused oil as well, using comfrey leaves. I posted some pictures a while ago of the comfrey that I was working with, because that is in huge abundance on the shorefront here. So it feels right, you know, it's in abundance, it feels right to pick it, and it just makes the best infused oil for as one of the salves that I make. And I'll probably end up mixing that oil with the daisy oil for a skin preparation. When I make my oils, I always actually do them separate. I guess it's a case of experimenting and, you know, how much oil and how much time you've got, but I like to just infuse all my herbs separately, labeling them all separately, and then, you know, in that case it's great, and then you can mix them afterwards when you've strained them. And that's helpful, because if you've got something that can be quite tricky, like comfrey sometimes has a tendency to go a bit rancid or moldy because it's got such a high water content because of all the mucilage in its leaves, then, you know, you're kind of it's easier to, you know, okay, ditch the comfrey, remake the comfrey, than rather have to, you know, remake a whole oil that you've infused with 2 or 3 different flowers or leaves. So yeah, that's where I am today with it. And then I think if I can find some elderflowers, I'll be harvesting some elderflowers. But the garden has an abundance of flowers in it, so it's very likely that I'll be making my flower essences today. So so that was what I wanted to chat to you about. But just to continue the, you know, when we're infusing oils or tinctures, we are, you know, the process of making a herbal medicine doesn't really stop, you know, once you've chopped it up and poured over your the mix, either the oil or the vodka or alcohol or glycerin or whatever you're using. It, you know, we've still got to tend that medicine while it's infusing. We've got to shake it, we've got to make sure we keep it in the right conditions. And this gives you opportunity to sing to the plant, to invoke the spirit of the plant again, to ask the plant to bring its power and its potency to the medicine. So, you know, keep talking to your medicines, almost inviting the spirit of the plant to be there, just to really give them that extra zing and extra connection to you, to the land where you are, and to the plant itself that it was harvested from. Okay, so have fun medicine making, and let me know what medicines you are making this summer with all the beautiful bounty from nature. Okay, bye.